Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Two incredibly important topics on today's show. Google's antitrust lawsuit is a huge deal. And we're also going to be discussing something of vast importance, Section 230. If you don't know what these are, my goodness, you need to be informed on these things. All of this on and more on today's show. This is huge news. The Justice Department, through Attorney General William Barr, has filed an antitrust lawsuit against Google this week, setting off a legal war that could affect the entire technology industry as we know it. And the magnitude of such an event has been lost on so many. But before I even talk about that event, I need to set the stage with this info as a reminder. Don't forget that Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, and Apple, these companies, they're known as the Big Five, that they know almost everything about your life. If you were just vaguely plugged in, you have a Facebook and an iPhone, and you use search engines. They know what websites you go to, what you're buying, where you are, where you've been, where you might be going next. And I'm serious, they know where you might be going next. We've covered this on shows prior. If you want that information on how they could project where you're going next, email us and I'll send you the show. They know who your friends are. They know who your family are, what you like. They know what you don't like. They know your political party. They know your religion. They know your credit card information. They know exactly what you look like. They know what your income is, your relationship status. They know everything about you. That's just some of the things we can list right now. And why do they know this? So that they can sell your data to advertisers? Yes, that is a part of it. We've talked about that as well, that entered into this new industrial revolution, that data is the new oil. They make money off of your data. The more data that they can have over you, the more money they will make. Data is the new oil. But there's so much more to it than that. These companies don't just want to know about your life. They want to reprogram your life. They do. They really, really do. They want to reprogram your life. They want to shape who you are. They want to get rid of your problematic, outdated views and usher in a new kind of truth, a truth that really is subjective, that has no real definition or standard, a truth that can be, well, whatever they want it to be. They want to be the God or the gatekeeper of what they say is truth. A generation, an entire generation, is being manipulated into doing certain things and believing certain ways by deliberate design. It's designed. It's set up. From the news we listen to the universities we attend, the movies we watch, the social media platforms we're a part of, to the search engines we use. Deception is created for our minds, and it enters in through the eyes, through the ears. I would even go as far as to say that many people's original thoughts, they think they're being original. It's illusion. Google and Facebook decide what you see. They decide for you what is truth and what is false. Google manipulates your searches for you to be subconsciously swayed. That's another show. Haven't seen it? There's tons of data. We'll send you the show. Let that sink in. Your searches that you do are designed, the results that come up, so that you are subconsciously swayed We're dealing with an enemy that largely deals with the subconsciousness of humans. What a weird thing to say. Manipulation, deception, it often starts as subliminal. You know, we've talked about it on this show before. It's like the old story, whether it's true or not. I mean, the story is real and it's been circulated for a couple of decades now.
Right.
It's the old story of the theaters in the 1950s supposedly flashing, eat popcorn, drink Coca-Cola on the screen for a single frame, enough for the subconscious to pick it up. And as the story goes, sales increased by over 50%. Now, whether that story is real or not, there have been many other experiments that would suggest that very thing is true. Deception usually doesn't move into big steps. It's frame by frame. It's slow, it's tricky, it's small, it's cunning, it's sly, like the serpent in Genesis. Oh, did God really say? It's small. Did God really say? Surely, Eve, you won't die. Jesus, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. Jesus said, watch out. Watch out that no one deceives you. This is how he started the Olivet Discourse. When the disciples came up to him and said, what will be the sign of the end time? He said, first and foremost, what will earmark the end of time is deception. Deception will be more rampant than any other thing. Think about in that moment, and we're going to get into it in the show, over 90% of the human population uses Google as a search engine. So that's all right. The information that they are receiving is garnered by a engine that is manipulating your subconscious. Oh my gosh. Billions of people in the world are using this. So when Jesus would have said in the end times, I am telling you that deception is going to be running rampant, he would have been able to see the OTT platforms such as Google and Facebook and Twitter that are contributing to this incredible deception. We are living in the end times. The end times are marked by deception. Be sober-minded, alert. The church needs a mind and heart that is led by the truth of the Holy Spirit, that the Holy Spirit will lead you into all truth. Wake up from your slumber. And I'm not saying for you to leave everything, to disconnect everything. As long as the gospel can still be preached, you can use every available means. I'm trying to wake people up to what is going on around them. And that leads us to the story. There's two big stories of the day. And the first one, the Department of Justice files an antitrust lawsuit against Google, and 11 state attorney generals have joined as plaintiffs. Now, it's acted through the head of the DOJ, William Barr, but this thing does have Donald Trump's shadow.
That's right.
On top of it.
Yeah.
He's not involved with this, but he is. Okay? Let me just read a little bit about this. The U.S. Department of Justice filed an antitrust lawsuit against Google on Tuesday, claiming the tech giant has illegally preserved monopolies in general search services, search advertising, and general search text advertising. According to the suit, Attorney General from 11 states, Texas, South Carolina, Florida, Arkansas, Montana, Georgia, Indiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Louisiana, and Kentucky, have joined the trust of plaintiffs. All the AGs, it's interesting, of these states are Republicans.
Yeah.
Now we know who's going to have your back. A prior antitrust investigation in 2013 closed with no suit filed, although a document from that investigation showed that some DOJ employees supported a case, and in addition, 49 states have investigated or are investigating Google. The Department of Justice also alleges that Google has revenue sharing agreements with players in the mobile phone industry to feature its search engines as the default one on phones, a move the government says is illegal. So, Andrew, I want you to tell me this. I want you to talk about this just for a second, but I want to make this very, very simple. This antitrust lawsuit is coming against Google because they are strangling out the competition.
That's right.
It's a monopoly, that they are strangling out the competition because they have the power, they have the clout, they have the money. They're the ones that are buying contracts with Apple, with Android, making it, or they're not, well, with Apple, because they are Android.
Right.
Making it so that you have to use their products. So the reason that I believe they're going after Google now, because Google has been strangling out the competition for a long time, but because they have violated this anti-competitive law, why are they going after them right now? Because of the search engines. They have strangled out the competition when it comes to search engines. So why now? Why now? Because the results from the search engines are literally affecting the outcome of this election.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once again, we can't go into all that. We've done a show on it. Email us. We'll send you the link.
Right. We did a whole show on the 2016 election, where every single search that you looked up, it had only positive things to say about Hillary Clinton and only negative things to say about Donald Trump.
That's right. That's right. So here's Attorney General William Barr on the DOJ's official Twitter page. He said this: today, millions of Americans rely on the internet and online platforms. Competition in this industry is vitally important, which is why today's challenge against Google for violating antitrust laws is a monumental case for the DOJ and for the American people. Another quote from him on that Twitter feed: since my confirmation, I have prioritized the department's review of online market-leading platforms to ensure that our technology industries remain competitive. This lawsuit strikes at the heart of Google's grip over the internet for millions of American consumers, advertisers, small businesses, entrepreneurs beholden to an unlawful monopolist.
That's right. And just to be clear for anyone watching, you know, I would consider myself conservative. But to an extent, I'd also consider myself a libertarian. I mean, I don't really like the government interfering with our affairs. So you might look at an issue like this and think, well, you know, what right really does the government have here? It has to be made clear that it's not illegal to have a monopoly in the United States if your monopoly comes about by the natural business means. What is illegal, like you said...
Basically, so you're talking about Google after 10 years of being a company in 2005 or so.
Right, that's right. What is illegal, and you're about to go into it, and they've made a very strong case here, is when a company intentionally goes out of its way to strangle the market, that's right, and constrict trade to its competitors. That's illegal. And that's essentially what Google has done.
That's right. So the lawsuit accused Google of violating Section 2 of the Sherman Act, the same statute that was used during Bill Clinton's presidency to carry out a host of antitrust litigation, including the landmark case against Microsoft. The Sherman Act was created to curb concentrations of power, okay, that interfere with trade and reduce economic competition.
Right.
Okay. Actually, it was Deputy Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen. He actually left a brief phone interview with reporters this week saying, for years, there have been concerns about business practices leading to unprecedented concentration in our economy. He added that the Antitrust Division has been looking at Google and its antitrust practices for more than a year now. Rosen called Google a gatekeeper of the internet and one of the wealthiest companies on the planet, saying it has maintained its monopoly standing via anti-competitive practices, the strangling thereof we're talking about, that are necessary to enable competition. Google has violated this anti-competitive law when it comes to search. They have strangled other search engines, and it is changing a generation's mindset. And I believe the DOJ is acting now under IGBY because it literally is affecting the election. Google controls, here's a couple of facts for you. Google controls 90% of online search market.
That's insane.
Where do we get our information from today? Listen, kids aren't reading books.
That's right.
You got to get that through your head. They're using search engines.
Yeah.
90% of the human race is using one search engine that is manipulating you.
Or to put that in another way, 90% of the information that you read comes from one single source.
Point number 2, default. It is actually it is the default search engine on Chrome, Safari, and Firefox. Concerning mobile, it's the default search engine for Android and iOS. And here's something that I didn't know. I didn't know it was such an astronomical number. Google pays Apple $8 billion every single year. Not a one-time pay. Every single year, $8 billion every year to be the default search engine on all Apple products.
That's right. And some estimates even guess that it's up to $11 billion a year, which would be about a third. It's about a third of what Apple makes every year.
That's unreal.
It's insane.
It's unreal. It's unreal. And that's why they're coming against him now. They're coming against him. And once again, if you haven't seen the show, how the search engines subconsciously change the minds and the way our brains are wired, let us know.
Yeah.
You see, the internet, and I've said it before on this show, it's a lot like the Wild West. Thanks to capitalism and the free market, independent companies can rise, and they can essentially become like little tech empires. Reddit, Netflix, YouTube, Google, Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, And it's competitive. The better the product, the more sure your success. But it is. It's like the Wild West, and I love it. Keep in mind, the competitive nature of the internet is good because it makes our products better, okay? If you're good like MySpace, you'll one day be replaced by something great like Facebook. Now, I'm not talking about whether they're left or right leaning. I'm just talking about the product of Facebook.
Right.
Far superior to MySpace. And Facebook was able to replace MySpace because of the capitalistic nature and the free market that our Constitution offers the American people. If you're good like Yahoo, you'll one day be replaced by a better product like Google. And one day Google will be replaced by a better product like so-and-so if they stop strangling the competition. Keek was good. Snapchat is better thanks to competition. You might be good like Napster. You're going to be replaced by something great like iTunes. Good like Vimeo. Better like YouTube, good like Blockbuster, better like Netflix, good like Barnes & Noble, great like Amazon. Nearly every piece of information the entire human race consumes, this is the bottom line, is filtered through manipulated search engines controlled by Google. The entire human race is slowly being changed one search, one ad, one bit of information at a time. It's a slow, gradual descent into a world that they have carefully crafted. So praise God for William Barr, AG, acting in the shadow of Donald Trump, who they have our best interests in mind. Twitter, Facebook, Google, they've got to be stopped. We've got just a few minutes left, and there's a whole other section we've got to cover. The first topic was breaking up Google, the lawsuit, the antitrust lawsuit that was issued against Google. The second topic is a huge topic as well, and it's busting them up and getting rid of the 230 legal protection. Here's a tweet from Donald Trump on October 6th. Repeal Section 230. Here's another tweet from October 14th, so both just this month. And this was relating to the Hunter Biden story and how Twitter and Facebook were suppressing the New York Post story. And guess what? We're mad. I'm upset, but they can legally do that and not get in trouble because of the protection that Section 230 offers them. They can censor and silence you as a conservative, as a Christian, as whatever you want, fill in the blank, because of the legal immunity that's provided by Section 230. So here's Donald Trump is on October 14th. So terrible that Facebook and Twitter took down the story of smoking gun emails related to Sleepy Joe Biden and his son Hunter in the New York Post. It is only the beginning for them. There is nothing worse than a corrupt politician. And there it is again, repeal Section 230. So what is Section 230 and what did it set out to do? Here we go. Section 230 grants technology companies like Facebook, Google, and Twitter increased legal immunity to moderate content on their platforms to prevent frivolous lawsuits, protect companies from being sued. But through that, it also gives them the right, it gives these companies the right to police the content on their site, i.e. they can delete content if it's offensive or hateful. Great. Who is going to argue with that? Right? Who's going to argue with that? It gives the companies a right to delete what is hateful and offensive. Of course, I applaud that. But the problem with that is that we live in a postmodern world where all truth is subjective. Truth might be out there, but who can really know it? The definition is always moving. The goalpost on truth is always moving. So in a world where there is no truth and truth is subjective, this is the leftist ideology, then it's what's offensive and what is hateful is categorized by what they deem as their truth at that time.
That's right.
Come on, can you say something here? Listen, decades ago, Section 230 gave tech companies sweeping power to police content on their platforms. Now some lawmakers want that power back.
That's right. And it's a few really big name lawmakers, people like Ted Cruz, but people on the other side, like even Joe Biden. So essentially, whether you like it or not, something is going to happen with Section 230. It's inevitable because there's so many people speaking so loudly on it.
That's right. So if Section 230 is rewritten, let's not talk about being totally repealed right now. It is going to be rewritten. You're going to want to make sure you have people in office that you trust when it's rewritten.
That's right.
Listen to this article. Section 230, the internet free speech law Trump wants to repeal, explain. The pillar of internet free speech is Trump's latest target. You may have never heard of it, but Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act is the legal backbone of the internet. The law was created almost 30 years ago to protect internet platforms from liability for many of the things third parties say or do on them. So I'm Twitter. I'm not a content maker. I'm just a what? Or I'm not a content creator. I'm just a platform that allows people to voice their opinions. So what I'm trying to say is this. If I'm Twitter, I'm Facebook, user Andrew Bellers comes onto the site and starts saying crazy things, right? So that I am not sued for the crazy things he is saying, because I'm just the platform. I can take his comment offline. And I can do that to protect myself from frivolous lawsuits. That's the legal protection.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is this. You're saying Jesus is Lord. He's the only way to heaven. There is no roundabout way to get to heaven. Jesus is the mediator between God and man, in which all men must find salvation through him. I can say that's hateful, that's offensive, because it is, because the gospel is offensive. I can legally delete that, suppress that, censor that, and have protection because of Section 230. So the law was created 30 years ago to protect internet platforms from liability for many of the things third parties say or do to them. I'm reading it fast because we've already covered this. And now it's under threat by one of the biggest beneficiaries, President Trump. In combination with an executive order issued in May, the Justice Department's proposed law released in September could ensure that the president can say whatever he wants on social media and address the accusation that platforms are biased against conservatives. So let me break this down what they're saying. We're angry at what the president is doing because if the president succeeds, that would give the president the ability to say whatever he wants on social media. Oh, these so low IQ, the low IQ, right? To think that they're angry at the fact that someone would be able to have free speech on an OTT platform is beyond me. Is absolutely beyond me.
Well, a lot of them want to get rid of free speech in general.
That's true. That's true. Man, we are totally out of time. I can't believe this. We had probably 4 more pages of content. I need to wrap this up, so I just need to read this because we are out of time. This is the issue. Donald Trump and Joe Biden, along with other major players on both sides, they want to repeal or rewrite Section 230. This makes this year's election even more important. Democrats only need to gain 4 seats to take the Senate this year, and Republicans need a net gain of 21 seats in the House to take the majority, which will be difficult. It is very important that Section 230 is rewritten carefully and by the right people. If Democrats have the power to rewrite Section 230, then the censorship that we have seen on platforms like Facebook and Twitter will pale in comparison to that which will come. And the censorship that comes from will have the power of the law behind it. If Democrats have the power to rewrite Section 230, it will be the beginning of the end of free speech. According to Cato survey from 2017, 52% of all Democrats and 40% of all Americans believe that the government should prevent hate speech. A quarter of Americans already falsely believe that hate speech is illegal. We are on the verge of Americans surrendering their right to free speech, and Section 230 may be the catalyst for that to happen. There's so much information happening. I'm so grateful that you watch this show. But just remember, all these crazy things are happening in the world because we're living in the end times. Times are accelerating, but Jesus is on his throne. And this life here is but a vapor, and we will be somewhere else for all of eternity. And the 2 destinations are either heaven or hell. So even all this is happening in the world, and it's good that you are informed and know what's going on. The most important thing is that you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, that he is the Lord and Master of your life. If you haven't repented of your sins and called upon the name of Jesus, do it now. That's going to do it for today's show. We'll see you next week.